So this is a remake of one of my first videos, and I'm still going to leave the original up because I still think it's a quality video. But this is the HD hyper amazing remastered version. And I'm happy I'm doing this because I definitely made a couple of mistakes and left off a couple of people from the previous one. So I'm going to address that in this video. So I'm only going to pick characters who I have a decent amount of information on when they were around the age of 14. So for example, like Kid Orochimaru is sort of implied to be like a prodigy, but we really don't have any information on him, so I can't really put him on the list. And also characters like Lee and Naruto, who are very strong as kids, won't be on the list because for the most part they were considered failures and not really prodigies. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So in my opinion, the weakest prodigy in the series is actually Shino. Now, depending on the way you look at it, you might not even consider him to be a prodigy, but I personally do. This man Shino, he's definitely forgotten. So you guys know the Sand siblings, right? And I mean, it's not even implied, it's blatantly shown that they're super talented. For example, like Temari and Kankuro both become Jonin in the middle of the time skip, and how Gaara literally becomes a Kage at like 14. And not only this, but they also blow through the Chunin exams like nothing with like relative ease. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because people forget Shino actually beats Kankuro, or at the very least fights him to a draw. And this is the same Kankuro who comes back and actually helps Kiba defeat Sakon. As a matter of fact, he did all the heavy lifting because Kiba got destroyed. Now maybe Kankuro got stronger from then to now, but I mean, it's also possible that he didn't get stronger, right? So in my opinion, Shino belongs on this list. There's also other characters like Kid Nagato that I could put here. According to Jiraiya, he masters like all nature transformations by the time he's like 10, which is crazy. But just like Kid Orochimaru, other than that, there's really not much to go off of, so he's more of an honorable mention. So at second last, I'm going to have to go with Neji. And just like Shino, Neji is by no means weak. Everyone else on this list are just monsters. But yeah, 13-year-old Neji is like way above Chunin level. And there's two main ways that I can prove this. So for one, when Gaara and the Hidden Sand and Orochimaru try to attack the village and Gaara flees, Genma just literally tells Sasuke to pursue Gaara and just flat out says that he's already Chunin level. And of course, Neji is, I mean, in my opinion, stronger than Chunin exam Sasuke, but regardless of what you think, it's clear that they are relative to each other. And the second reason is that Neji just beats, like literally beats the strongest member of the Sound 4, Kimmimaro, while he's in version 2. Now maybe he didn't beat him, maybe it's more accurate to say that they tied, but he was still pretty close to him. And Kimmimaro and the Sound 4 are obviously, you know, Orochimaru's personal guard, who are obviously way stronger than the average Chunin. Now they aren't Jonin level, all four of them together are more of a match for like 2 Jonin, because they literally fight 2 Jonin and barely get away. But I mean, it's still impressive nonetheless. Now, then again, if I'm using 15-year-old Neji, he'd be way higher because people forget that Neji became a Jonin in the middle of the time skip. But I'm trying to keep people on this list 14-year-old and younger. Next I have 12/13-year-old Sasuke, who I rank above Neji. And you know, if I was using Chunin exam Sasuke, I'd rank Neji above him. But I can use Valley of the End Sasuke, and yeah, Sasuke is way stronger. In fact, I think that Valley of the End Sasuke and Naruto are actually approaching Jonin level. And this isn't because of the curse mark or his new Sharingan, it's because Sasuke just got stronger in base. So at the beginning of the Sasuke Retrieval arc, the Sound 4 actually perform a ritual on him that gets his body acclimated to the curse mark so he will no longer be hindered by it. And this gives him a humongous buff. A perfect illustration of this is that post Chunin exam, Sasuke and Naruto actually fight on the rooftop, and they're pretty much equals, but in the Valley of the End, base Sasuke and base Naruto are fighting, and Naruto's just getting destroyed. And on top of that, you give Sasuke Curse Mark Stage 2, you can give him an evolved Sharingan. I know some people think that if Neji replaced Naruto and fought Sasuke in the Valley of the End, it would be close. No it wouldn't. Neji would have gotten obliterated. So here I want to give an honorable mention to 14-year-old Minato, who is so weird to scale. There are so many statements about him, but there's not much that's actually concrete that addresses how strong he was. But we do know that as an academy student, he like ambushes a bunch of clown ninja to save Kushina, but it's kind of hard to scale him on this because, I mean, he just appears behind them and knocks them out. Not really a fight, right? Well, we also know that he became a Jonin at the age of 15, which means he must have been somewhat close to the level of 14. So you might be able to argue that our best source of information is the Minato one-shot manga, but even that is kind of weird because like if we're going by the lore, like Minato should technically be like 10 years old in this manga. This happened in the Second Great Ninja War when Jiraiya was like a young man and Minato was significantly younger. So if you follow all the lore and do all the calculations, it's true, yes, Minato should technically be 10 at this point. Now part of the problem is that if you actually read the manga, he doesn't even look 10, he doesn't even look 14, he more so looks like 17. So, I mean, scaling him in his 14-year-old self based upon this manga is a little bit difficult. And even if we take 10-year-old Minato and put him on this list, it's also just a little bit difficult and arguably a little bit unfair. But I mean, if we do use this feat, the Minato will probably be like number 1 on this list, and fair enough. It's really just up to your interpretation. I think that's perfectly reasonable. And this is off topic, and I probably shouldn't say this to like threaten the Minato fanboys, but I'm going to anyway. I actually don't think clashing with the Tail Beast Bomb is nearly as impressive as some people think. So, like, there's a very big difference between the Tail Beast Bomb and the explosion of a Tail Beast Bomb. Like, if I throw a grenade at you and you deflect it by slapping it away, that's very different from deflecting or like tanking the explosion of a grenade. For example, we see the 8 Tails hold back the 10 Tails Tail Beast Bomb for a couple of seconds. We also see KCM2 Naruto deflect the Tail Beast Bombs, but that's very different than the explosion itself. So in no way, shape, or form am I saying that this is not impressive. Like, even if you take my interpretation of this feat, it still puts him at like number 1 on this list. All I'm saying is that it's not nearly as impressive as what some people think.
Hey bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
Because, you know, the Minato bias is just crazy in the Naruto community. Like, we can calm down. Like, I've seen people say Minato is as strong as like Hashirama. Hashirama destroys adult Minato with 0 difficulty, let alone teenage Minato. Anyway, moving on, I have Kid Kakashi. And, you know, Kid Kakashi versus Kid Sasuke is sort of like a mini running debate in the Naruto community, but I rank Kakashi above him firmly. And it's because I just think that the accomplishments and statements surrounding Kakashi are more impressive than Sasuke. So for like Valley of the End Sasuke, I think at best you can argue he's like low Jonin level, at very best. But the problem for Sasuke is that like I can't argue that Kakashi is anything lower than elite Jonin level. Kakashi officially becomes a Jonin at 12, and then he joins the Anbu later on. Not only that, but he like creates the Chidori from scratch and is elected to Minato's personal bodyguard team. So the personal bodyguard team of the Hokage, Kakashi was on that team. So I mean, if you think Sasuke is stronger, I mean, fine. I personally don't. Maybe in like Curse Mark Stage 2, Sasuke Chidori would overpower Kakashi's, but I think overall Kakashi's more impressive. And who knows, maybe Sasuke could still find a way to win. Kakashi's kind of weird at the same time because it seems that he kind of plateaus early. Maybe this is ignorant of me, but I think 14/15-year-old Kakashi would fight like part 1 Kakashi to a standstill. I don't think Kakashi gets exponentially stronger from his kid self until like mid Shippuden when he starts using his Mangekyo. But yeah, I have Kakashi at high Jonin level. I just don't think Sasuke's there yet. Next, I have Haku as honorable mention, and just like some of the previous entrances, he is 15, so he technically doesn't qualify, but this just rank him anyway. So just like Kid Kakashi, Haku is firmly Jonin level, not only a Jonin, but actually a member of the Hidden Mist Tracker unit. It's also stated that he kills like multiple Jonin in the Hidden Mist, and I mean, Zabuza literally says Haku is stronger than him, not more talented, he says stronger than him. Now I know he loses to Naruto and Sasuke, but he really didn't lose. He lost to a 9 Tails amped Naruto after fighting Sasuke, and he did this while not going all out. So yeah, depending on how you look at it, maybe I should put Haku below Kid Kakashi. It largely depends on how well you think Kid Kakashi would do against Zabuza, but I think Kid Kakashi and Kid Haku are right next to each other. So now we're kind of getting into low Kage level ninja, and I think the first of that group is Shisui. Now, Shisui is super strange because, for one, we don't even know exactly how old he is. He's anywhere between like 13 and 16. So for this video, let's just assume he's 14. So then again, I guess he's more of an honorable mention. But the other strange thing is that there are so many different interpretations of what happens to this guy. So in anime filler, he gets destroyed by Danzo. And then I think in Storm Revolution cutscene, he fights Danzo to a standstill. And then in the Itachi light novel / manga, he gets like poisoned by a member from the Aburame clan. But one thing that is consistent is that it is heavily implied that Itachi, Shisui, and Itachi's dad, Fugaku, are the strongest among the Uchiha clan. And this is important, seeing as how Fugaku was almost elected to be Hokage and was only beaten out by Minato. So I mean, at worst case, Fugaku was low Kage level, and if we scale Shisui to him, it just puts Shisui in that same category. And this is kinda consistent with the games, might be consistent with the manga as well, because I mean, you could argue Danzo could have just fought Shisui one-on-one, but he didn't feel comfortable because Shisui was stronger than him. We don't really know, but there is some evidence that points to this direction. So in the Itachi light novels, the Uchiha had this plan for Shisui to use his body flicker to infiltrate the Hokage's palace and to kidnap Hiruzen. Now this plan was scrapped, but they still had the plan, and the fact that they trusted Shisui with such a mission is honestly kind of crazy, because you don't send a regular Jonin, and let alone a Chunin, to do that. You send someone who's probably an elite Jonin, maybe even approaching or at Kage level, to do something like that, right? Now, of course, Shisui probably isn't as strong as Hiruzen. I highly doubt that. But the fact that they would trust him with such a mission just speaks volumes, in my opinion. Next up, I have Sasori, who I'm telling you is probably the most underrated Naruto character of all time. So Sasori, during the 3rd Great Ninja War, he kills like hundreds of ninja, so much so that he gets the title Sasori of the Red Sand, and this was all before the age of 15. And then at the age of 15, he leaves the village, and it was around this time that he kidnapped the 3rd Kazekage, the strongest Kazekage in the history of the Hidden Sand. So honestly, you can make the case that he should be higher, but the reason I don't put him higher is because there's a serious question as to whether or not he was actually stronger than the 3rd Kazekage. Because, you know, if you really pay attention to the dialogue, the Hidden Sand higher-ups don't know what happens to the 3rd Kazekage. What I mean by that is, they literally say that he disappears. So, for example, like if Sasori had fought the 3rd Kazekage, there would definitely be some evidence that there was a battle, but he literally just disappeared. Which to me, at the very least, implies that Sasori didn't really fight him. He probably snuck into his quarters, poisoned him, and then kidnapped him. That's likely what happened, and unfortunately, that's just not indicative of him being as strong as the 3rd Kazekage. But it is still indicative of the fact that he's, at the very least, an elite Jonin. Because, I mean, I don't think that regular Jonin, and definitely not a Chunin, could pull something like that off. And then we don't really think of Sasori like this because he loses to Chiyo and Sakura. But first of all, he wasn't really going all out during that fight. In fact, he let himself get stabbed by the final attack. And more than that, Chiyo is slept on. Chiyo might be upper Kage level. That's how strong she is. So yeah, I'm gonna leave Sasori here. So the next 3 are pretty insane and also pretty interchangeable. In fact, you could argue that the previous 2, Sasori and Shisui, are interchangeable with the next 3. But yeah, up next I have Kimmimaro, who then again is more of an honorable mention because he's technically 15, but I'm still going to rank him anyway. So, first and foremost, Kimmimaro beats the Sound 4 by himself. So we know he's firmly Jonin level, and is probably as strong as 2 Jonin put together. As a matter of fact, Kabuto also says that if Kimmimaro was there during the attack on the Hidden Leaf, everything would have gone smoothly. Now, how strong he is depends on exactly what this means, but I mean, if Kabuto and Orochimaru think Kimmimaro alone could have swayed the battle that much, it speaks to how strong he is. It is also implied that Kimmimaro helps Orochimaru kill Gaara's dad, Rasa, because he's literally there when Orochimaru steals his body, and Orochimaru literally says, "This is all thanks to you." So I mean, is Kimmimaro helping Orochimaru kill Kage level ninja? Because that's what it seems like. And I guess a little shred of evidence that sort of maybe kind of points to the fact that he's low Kage level is, a lot of people forget this, but during the war arc, and I know this was a KCM1 Naruto clone, but Kimmimaro and Chiyo do fight a KCM1 Naruto clone. And I know Chiyo was helping Kimmimaro, but she didn't have any puppets, so Kimmimaro was doing most of the heavy lifting, and he was doing fine. At the very least, it seems like he was doing fine. And this is because the battle lasts from morning till night, and he's still kicking. So I mean, Kimmimaro might be one of the most slept on characters in the entire series. So before we move on, I want to give a quick honorable mention to Hiruzen, who is literally elected to be Hokage. But then again, the problem is he's 18 when this happened. So I mean, I have no idea how strong he was when he was 14. But I still thought it would be good to mention it because I do think it is relevant to this discussion. So on to number 3. And at number 3, I'm still thinking. At number 3, I'm going to put Gaara, which might shock some people, but Gaara is an absolute monster. So first and foremost, there's a very big difference between like stable Gaara and unstable Gaara. Like when he's crazy, he gets significantly stronger when he gets his head on straight. In fact, Lee actually takes note of this. But more importantly, Gaara actually fights Kimmimaro and is like right there with him. Now to be fair, Kimmimaro was sick. Now we don't know how much this actually nerfed him. You know, maybe he was at the same strength that he was always at, but he only had like a couple minutes to live. Maybe he had a couple minutes to live and he was actually weaker. We don't really know. And to be fair, Kimmimaro does technically win. He literally just dies before he's about to stab Gaara. But this is 13-year-old Gaara. In the middle of the time skip when he's 14, he becomes Kage level because he gets elected Kazekage. And then a year after that, or a year and a half, we're not exactly sure what the time is, he fights Deidara and pretty much wins, or he would have won if Deidara didn't cheat and hold the village hostage. So in short, Gaara is somewhere between his performance against Deidara and his performance against Kimmimaro. And we do know at the very least that he was Kage level. And fun fact, I said this in the previous version of this video, but I'm going to say it again. Gaara holds the fastest time for the completion of the Forest of Death in Hidden Leaf Village history. Faster than Itachi, faster than Minato, faster than Shisui, faster than any of them. Now, to be fair, that doesn't really mean much, but I do think it is impressive nonetheless. So now we're at the top 2, and I think that the top 2 are pretty obvious, but if it's not, at number 2, I have Itachi. So we can go over Itachi pretty quickly, but I mean, every time you do it, it's just still crazy. So Itachi becomes not only a Jonin at 10, he becomes an Anbu squad leader at 10. And of course, he scales to his father, who was in contention to become Hokage. In fact, Fugaku says he doesn't want to fight Itachi. And, you know, Danzo and Hiruzen trust him to do this mission, knowing that Fugaku was over there, which tells me that Itachi must be relative to his father, who then again was in contention to become Hokage, which just solidifies Itachi at Kage level, even when he's 14. And it is also the fact that he, you know, kills the entire Uchiha clan, and Hiruzen and Danzo don't really think it's going to be much of a challenge for him. And not only that, but he also, you know, joins the Akatsuki at 14 and one-shots Orochimaru, who, to be fair, I don't think was actually Sannin level at that point, but still, one-shots Orochimaru. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I need to say more about this guy. He's pretty strong. So let's move on to the number 1 spot, which in my opinion is not debatable. So at number 1, I hate this character, my least favorite villain in the entire series, but he is the strongest Naruto prodigy, 14-year-old Obito. He is more than a monster. So not only does he fight Minato, who is like way stronger than the average Kage, he like he summons the Nine Tails and then genjutsus it with a base Sharingan. Now I know he doesn't beat Minato, but he actually does quite well against Minato and actually almost comboes him a couple of times. And we can even look at his feats before that when he kills like what, hundreds of Jonin. I think 14-year-old Obito was like high Kage level. That's how strong I think he was at this point. Now I know some people might not consider Obito to be a real prodigy because he was considered a failure, but for the, I guess, the second half of his life, not really. Madara clearly thought he was extremely talented, and I would go so far as to say Madara kind of thought he was a prodigy, which is why he chose Obito. But yeah, I mean, that's it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, especially if you made it to the end. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Consider liking, subscribing, and please comment. I'm one person. It's very likely that I made a mistake somewhere and I am wrong, which is, I mean, you know, that's what the comments are good for. But anyway, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.